All right, I think we're live here. How is everyone doing? Well, I hope. No, I'm showing right at 8 o'clock. Or are you early? Because if you're early, that's fine. No, it's 8 o'clock. I said I started at 8. Hey, Dennis, good to see you, man. I am doing pretty good. It's been a crazy day, emotional roller coaster. But I will say it's definitely overall a great day. Great day indeed. See who's in here. Sophia, good to see you. Bernaldus, Jacob, Magician Girl 999, good to see you. Artistic Floor, welcome. Yeah, let's try to avoid the spamming of the chat. I have trouble keeping up with it as it is. Ariel Glabito, welcome. Sorry if I mispronounced that. 432 Hertz, welcome. Good to see you. Jonas Toenail, welcome. Trevelin, welcome. Good to see you. Got a lot of people in here straight from the start. Dang, gonna be a heck of a night. I am still trying to figure out the lighting down here, so sorry. I know it looks like I'm kind of like blasted right now, so I don't really know what to do about that. But we'll figure that out over time. I promise. The office is still like an oven. So, has everyone had a great weekend? Lots of fun. Stayed in or out of trouble, depending on your preference. Well, tell your lizard to be careful. Get caught, it might get cooked. We eat lizards where I come from. And thanks for dropping in to say hi. We appreciate it. Codge 33, or I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Well, I'm glad you joined us tonight. Appreciate it. Magic Malango, good to see you again. Sleep is a good thing. Sleep is a real good thing. I wish I'd gotten more of it this weekend, but I had fun, so I'm not going to complain. You did the challenge for this weekend. I don't even remember the challenge. Are you talking about the 5K challenge? Because that I believe. I have actually saw the sub numbers shoot up. You guys are serious about getting that 5K by Silent. There is no doubt there. Whoa, Dennis, man. Dennis, that's a tricky one. It's not really a taboo topic. I'm not really an herbalist of any kind, so I try not to give too much advice in areas where I don't have the expertise. But it's not taboo. I can try and answer a few questions. My general rule of thumb in my practice and with my students is, by and large, focus on self-mastery without an external substance or item. But I do know there's practices that utilize it. So, I mean, it just depends on how you phrase it. I mean, if you're wanting to go into the politics of it, then yeah, that's taboo. Because I don't do politics on the channel. But I do appreciate the super chat donation. Appreciate your support of the channel. Oh, the distracting. Yeah, going to a distracting place and doing meditations. That's a fun challenge to do. I've never smoked it. I have had plenty of contact highs. I got lots of friends who do smoke it. Me personally, I don't enjoy anything that gives me a buzz or anything like that. I don't know why. It's always just been a pet peeve. It's just not been something I've enjoyed personally. So anything that has a altering effect on me, I've just never enjoyed it. I don't know if it's my paranoia or just I prefer to be in control of my mental facilities. Um, but I've never had any issues with people who do it. Like I said, I got lots of friends. It's just not been a particular thing for me. But yeah, I've had plenty of contact highs from people who do. You see, I know people who's on both sides of the recreational and the practice, or the ritual side of it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't got a problem. Like I said, it's just not a thing that's for me, and I really can't teach it if I don't apply it because I wouldn't even really know the ratios of way to give good info. That said, I mean, I know the science of it. The science, it's not harmful of any kind. There's crap like that. But um, yeah, and yeah, it is getting more and more legalized. I wish they'd just go ahead and legalize it across the board. Just make it like cigarettes. Just boom, blanket. Hey TC, good to see you. Welcome back. Yeah, I do talk about mugwort and peppermint. They don't leave me feeling out of control of my facilities, but they do help with like trance work and stuff. So those are things I do enjoy using, though I still don't like to rely on them, if that makes any kind of sense. I only use them occasionally. Like I don't think I've actually have I had mugwort tea at all this year? I don't think I have. At least I'm not the only. I'm usually the only one in the stadium that has that opinion. So I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Max X, hey, good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, that's a big issue. I know a lot of people who do practice and use it. They talk about if you don't get the ratio right, it's really easy to lose your focus and or fall asleep. So, I mean, and that's the thing. I wouldn't know even remotely how to begin to get the ratio right. Cast Iron Man, good to see you. Welcome. And yeah, I've never seen any research on that one myself, man. I've heard people state it, but I've never found any research. What music do I listen to? Oh, that's a loaded question. I actually listen to just about anything. Um, from acid metal, acid rock. I do listen to goth. Believe it or not, I even listen to country, some hip hop. For me, it's the song has to have a little soul and feeling to it, and you can usually tell when an artist is just regurgitating the same stuff over and over. So that's really more what I go for than anything else. The only thing, like, I used to enjoy like rap and hip hop when it first came out back in the 80s and even the early 90s with Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and them. This day and age, I don't know. It don't have the feeling and soul it used to it. I just can't get into it. I keep listening to it, trying to find a song I like or something. I just haven't. That seems to be the only category that seems to be a turnoff for me right now. But that hasn't stopped me from trying. I'm a big believer in, um, always listening to music and trying to find it because it's always changing and shifting. What rap song is my favorite? Well, it'd definitely be an older one. Um, oh crap, man, that's hard. Shit, let's see here. Okay, this is an unpopular opinion, I know, but the one that keeps coming to mind. Well, there's two. Two keep coming to mind. One is the song Friday from the movie Friday. We all know that song. But the first one that comes to my mind is Murder Was the Case by Snoop Dogg. Um, man, that album's old as dirt. I'm showing my years here, ain't I? Either that or hold on, no, Mix a lot. I like his stuff. Um, man, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. There are so many back in the day that I could turn them on and just listen to. Didn't expect to get hit with questions on my music choice, but that's pretty cool. Hertz, thank you, appreciate it. I actually order these. It's at an Australian Outback shop that sells these. I'm really hard on hats, so a friend of mine found this originally for me, and it's actually made out of steer hide, so it's pretty freaking durable. And this is only the second one I've ever had to own, but you can put them through hell and high water, and they'll last you. They are a little hard to break in though, because steer hide does take some time to break in. Elizabeth Silver, welcome. Good to see you. You're right, Cast Iron. There's way too many pictures claiming things on the internet, and that could be just about anything. These days, Pimus, not many. I won't lie. These days, not many hip hop artists. These days, I tend to lean toward more like Man of War style metal, Godsmack, and I've been listening to a lot of Jimmy Buffett because that's my go-to relax music. Is just cue up some Jimmy Buffett. Um, so I've not been listening. Let's see. The last there is a lot of, and I know people's going to laugh when I say this. Lady Gaga and Katy Perry is on my playlists because my wife really enjoys both of them. So there's just certain songs by theirs that I don't know. I like them. It's as weird as it is. They're fun. Well, I mean, I keep trying to find more recent stuff that I can click with, but like I said, it's got to have a soul to it or some feeling. I'm a little old fashioned like that. That's one reason I never could do techno. Hey, Cat. Oh, Route 88, man, that is gorgeous up in there. That is. Listen to Chief Keef. I'll check it out, man. Thanks, Jonas. I'll check that out. I really will. Appreciate it. Because I'm always looking to try new stuff out. Yeah, the Route 88 is freaking awesome. I love going over those mountains in the Appalachians. Oh man, I wish you could have got that on the dash cam. That'd be awesome. Have I heard Venus? Yeah, I have heard Venus. That's a good one. Any advice on getting rid of them? Well, your best bet is to try and make amends if you've upset them in some way. Um, because I've never really had an issue unless they were upset. But your best bet, from what I've learned, is to try and make amends as best you can, even if it's just to give an offering and say I'm sorry, and then and not do a banishing, but do a cleansing. There is a difference in a cleansing and a banishing. Because if you make amends and you say you're sorry and then you try to boot them out of your house by force, you're just re-offending them. But a cleansing is basically like, okay, party's over, we're picking up, we're cleaning up, and that's when the guests know, okay, it's time to get in the car and go home, if that makes sense. So it's that different mentality there. Um, but in general, if I've not upset them, I've never had any issues getting rid of them. It's, I say my farewells and they've departed. But if they've hung around for any reason, just give them a gift of some kind and apologize and wish them well, and they usually depart. Nothing wrong with metal. Like I said, I enjoy my own metal. My wife is always surfing through YouTube well when she's home, and she tends to find some really great music. It tends to be where most of our music comes from. We just randomly surf and find stuff. So, like Five Finger Death Punch, One Eyed Doll, Gods of War. Um, we have a very eclectic style. I have one playlist. You'll go from Manson, Lords of Acid, Hank Williams Jr., Johnny Cash, Lady Gaga, Man of War. I mean, it's just all over the place. I get so many weird looks when people hear my playlist because they're like, how do you even remotely cross these genres? And it's like, I like the songs, deal with it. You've tried many sigils, but sigils for what? I need a bit more info here because if we're talking about making your own sigils, yeah, I need a bit more info on this if you can. I got no problem helping you. Awesome, cast iron. If you can like grab that snippet, I'd love to see it. Um, Drop that to me in Discord or my email. I would love to see that, man. Or Facebook. I think you got me on Facebook. Dude, I know his last album was awesome. His rendition of Hurt, ooh, man, that gets me in the soul every time. It really does. And every time I listen to it, people think I'm all depressed and something's wrong with me. They're like, you okay, man? It's like, I'm fine. It's like, this actually is a healing song for me. I know it's weird to say, but I grew up on Johnny Cash. My dad was a musician, so a lot of these singers like him, I grew up on. And it's weird to realize I really did see most of Johnny Cash's musical life. And Charlie Daniels, who we just recently lost. I love Charlie Daniels' music. And to this day, there's no one that can work a fiddle the way that man can. I mean, I know we got Lindsey Sterlington now, but it's just not the same. I mean, she's the next generation in a different category for sure. But man, these musicians, what they can do and the feeling and the emotion they can present through their music, that is magic right there to me. What? Oh, well, see, I'm not really okay. So, mine and my wife's song, the first song we ever danced to, when I think romantic music, that's definitely where my brain goes first and foremost, which is For You I Will. Beyond that, it's stuff that reminds me of those I love. So, Love in the Library by Jimmy Buffett. I know that's probably no one's heard that song. For me, it's one of those songs that when I hear it, I truly do think of her. Um, let's see. Lone Palm, that's another great one. Trying to think. See, I don't do a lot of slow romantic music. I really do not. Those would probably be the big three for me. They did a sequel to that song, and Johnny Cash actually took part in that as well. If you listen to Devil Went Back to Georgia, um, that's where you get Charlie Daniels and a bunch of other great ones together. But Johnny Cash really did great in that. Hey, Ross, good to see you. Russ, that's actually a really good question. The big thing is, as you get into the deeper areas of shadow work, it literally just kind of rips the scab off to the point you have to face it. And a lot of your lighter, easier going things, it doesn't do that. A person can easily gradually get to a certain point of comfort and then they stop. They're like, no, this is as far as I'm going. Um, and because of that, there's a lot that's left over here in the darkness and the shadows that does not heal. It never heals. And unless you're disciplined enough to just go into that darkness and truly face it, which I'll be honest, most people are not, you're never going to heal it. Shadow work removes the choice. Once you get into the deeper shadow work, it throws you into the darkness. And that's the reason it's considered such a harsh practice, because a lot of people are not ready to get thrown into the deep end like that in kind of a sink or swim scenario. But it is one of those scenarios that, in a lot of ways, people describe it as a living hell. But when you come out of it, you come out healed and whole. That's the major difference between them. Yeah, the sequel came out in, I want to say, late 90s. So, I mean, check it out. It's definitely good. I think Travis Tritt actually sings the part of the devil in it, and Johnny Cash does most of the narrating. And I forget who does the devil or who does Johnny, because Travis Tritt does the devil, somebody does Johnny, but I know Johnny Cash is the primary narrator, and of course, the Charlie Daniels Band does the music. It was an awesome collab. No, I actually a lot of people was surprised Garth Brooks was not in that. Um, I think he might have been in one of his retirements at the time. Because Garth, he retires, comes back, retires again. You know him. Uh, but no, it wasn't him. I'm trying to think who it was. It was another semi-mulleted country music singer at the time. I cannot remember him. I know he had black hair though. I can't remember. And as far as I remember, Garth never had hair, so but he would have been a good one. Now I do like a lot of Garth's music, like Rodeo, um, Thunder Rolls was always great, and Callin' Baton Rouge, and Friends in Low Places. I think everyone knows that song when it comes on. That's just one of those, you know. Um, let's see here. What do we got here? Best way to connect with higher self. Ugh. That's really hard. That's different for everyone. Um, for me, it was literally working through every system that's like kept me and my higher self separate never really worked for me. However, working with the dragons, instead of separating, they work to incorporate you and your higher self into a single. Those worked for me. Even when I worked through like the tree of life, they say as you ascend up the tree of life, you find your higher self. I was able to work through it, and I got a lot of benefits, and I was able to reach out to my higher self. But it was never the experience everyone described. So I didn't understand it until I worked more through the dragons with the more connecting, embracing, embodiment kind of stuff. That said, generally speaking, when dealing with your higher self, what I find works for most people is to turn inward during meditation and trance and to start the focus on yourself and see yourself sitting as like the center of the universe with the whole universe around you and expanding your consciousness. That just naturally kind of plugs you into that higher self, if that makes sense. I mean, that's a really huge question to unpack here in a quick stream, but that would be the best way I could unpack it, if that makes sense. Tom Ellis did a great Lucifer in that show. Totally did. Higher self the same as most people will say no. In fact, I'm probably going to have to say no because your higher self is more of your complete self. Your astral form is you in the astral. So if you're not yet complete, if you've not yet reintegrated all those things, then it wouldn't be your higher self. But should you work and try to incorporate all those aspects and those universal ideals, eventually it would be. But no, that would be an astral form, or in the case of soul travel, it's your full soul and consciousness that's housed within your meat suit, but still wouldn't count as your higher self. If that makes sense, Magickal Malango. Rouse, that's actually a good question. Dissolving of the ego. This is a big thing that is debated. And especially when you look at left and right hand path practices, because the right hand path, they're all anti ego. Left hand path, it's mastery of ego. And really, both of them can work. The problem with ego when you approach shadow work is your ego tells you this isn't a problem. This has been dealt with. We can just shove it over there in the corner. And that's not how you get it done. Because generally speaking, the things that we need to heal that are in the shadow are things we're embarrassed about, ashamed about, traumas that have happened, and things that we can think of any excuse or reason why it's not our fault. And you have to own it in order to heal it. And ego is the enemy there. So you have to at least master the ego and take responsibility and accountability, or you're going to have to get ego out of the way somehow. That's really where the debate's created there. And honestly, I do think it's easier to master ego than dissolve it, because dissolving of ego almost dissolves who you are. And that is a very long, hard process, and it's not one a lot of people want to do. Not to say it doesn't work, because there are people who've done it, obviously. So it just depends on the road that works best for the practitioner at hand. But in most cases, it's the mastery of self or ego that tends to be the easier for most people I've found. And you're right. A lot of gurus are all about the dissolving of the ego because it takes so long. And that really helps them keep their little apprentices for longer. Wow, 17 in chat. All right, appreciate it, people. Thank you for the support. Loving it. Um, Ormel CB, that's a wonderful question, and it's a little bit of both. So, if you work through the tree of life or even the Clifothic tree, there are very permanent changes that are created. There's certain things that are changed and knowledge that's gained. Kind of those things once seen, you can never unsee it. But at the same time, yes, you can fall back into old habits. So if you have the knowledge, if you have the information, but you're not implementing it, it's easy to fall back into those old comfortable habits, and then you're going to have to go and repair it again. Um, so it is a continual life work. It's not something like you climb the tree once and no, it's a continual life work. Every time you work through it, you're further improving yourself. It's like the old adage I was taught as a kid: every day wake up to be better than you are today. You're not going to wake up perfect. That's not going to happen. But you can strive to be better than you were before. And every time you would pathwork those trees, again, would be the same thing. You're striving to become a better person, a better magician than you were the last time you done it. Aaron Tipton, that's him. Thank you, TC. Appreciate it. That's him. I have heard of that, Nomir. There are a few rituals I've done with that. Um, and it does tend to work pretty well, seeking information and everything, and it giving you guidance on how to better, incorporate the pieces and work your way higher up and improving yourself to where you become the higher self itself. Um, some even say it's fully possible to learn and incorporate all those things through while still living. Um, I won't even pretend I'm at that point. Y'all know I do too much stupid stuff to claim that. Um, but I do, again, I follow that try to be better today than I was yesterday. And that I apply that in all of my life, especially my magic. But I have heard of it, and it's a great way to get that guidance in those areas you need to work on. Um, so yeah, I mean, it can work and it can be helpful. Yeah, TC, that's a really good way to put it. That's a really good way to put ego. Dennis, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Let's see, what is that? Uh, Hands down, that was in the cliff off. Hands down. Um, let's see, I'm trying to think how much of that I can tell you. Well, I can't tell you the details of what lesson was being learned, but I was working within one of the realms of the cliff off. And essentially, insects were being shot at me and spawning inside of me. And I was fully conscious of it, and I was fully able to feel it as if there was no difference between me being on that realm and this realm. and they literally began to consume me from the outside and the inside at the same time, till I was nothing but a pile of Drake bones. And the bones laid there still in pain until I reformed. That, for me personally, was the time I was the most terrified, because there was no escape. There was nothing I could do. And even though there was a lesson and even a healing concept to it, that doesn't change the terror. That does not at all. But no, TC, that's a great view of ego. Because ego is kind of a love of yourself. It's what you like about yourself. And that's kind of your safety check of, don't do this shit. But at the same time, there's a time you got to push that aside, and you got to be like, no, this is something I have to do. So TC, that's a really great summary. Jacob, that is a massive question. Generally speaking, you would work through the Tree of Life through the Kabbalah or ceremonial magic, where you do meditations, trance work, and ritual work to work with the different spheres on the Tree of Life, the different sephiroths, and along the different pathways along the tree, because the pathways themselves have their own lessons involved. There's entire traditions that people spend lifetimes working on based around those. My private page on Facebook I had to close it from public. There is a Working Dragon Mystic group and a business page. They're just under Working Dragon Mystic. I don't know if there's a problem with the links or not. Instagram would be a good place to try and find me. Twitter, honestly, Twitter's a cesspool. I really don't check it anymore. I cannot click that link without getting depressed. So I've actually considered deleting my Twitter account. The Akashic Records are a good way to do it. You do not need a guide. If you can do journey work, you can visit those pretty easy. In fact, usually your co-magician or guardian dragon, if you have one, can get you there pretty easily. That said, also, again, meditation and trance work. If you have a guardian dragon, ask them to show you. They will take you to those different points in history to show you your past lives. They're usually pretty good about that when you've got that relationship built up. That, for me, was the easiest way to do it until I got to the Akashic Records. Even though the Akashic Records, it's not as easy as just going there and boom, there's the information. Now you got to sort through the information. So I'd still say the Guardian Dragon is actually the easiest way to do it, my personal opinion. But if you don't even have a Guardian Dragon, you can actually put your trance focus on your nearest past life, and you should shift back to that. Fatel, check out my Astral Sanctum video. It gives full instructions on how to set up an Astral Sanctum, which is exactly what that is. It's your own realm on the astral. And you do it through meditation and trance work primarily. And then from there, it shifts over to a form of journey work. Venice, didn't I answer that question already? Or is that just popping back up here? Yeah, that's just popping back up. Okay, just making sure. I was about to say, did you? And dude, appreciate the support. Really do, Dennis. Thank you very much. Let's see. Okay, cooking, watching you drink. Hey, man, cook some good food. Food is good. Food is good. I actually got word the missus might be home relatively sooner than expected. Therefore, looks like I'll be cooking up a lot of good food for her. And before y'all ask, no, I ain't promising that we'll see her because she seems adamant at never being on camera with me. So Doesn't mean I won't try, but I can't promise we'll see her. Um, Morel, that's a tricky one. Aleister Crowley was an interesting person. Um, and was he an advocate for peace? I don't know. A lot of his writings seem to go a lot of different directions, and some people even think some of his writings were just BS, and he was just trolling people who didn't know better. Um, so I really hesitate to give him credit one way or the other there. But at the same time, learning what the dragons have taught me about balance. I think in some ways, in his own complex madness of insight, I think he was trying to let us know that you can't have peace without a form of aggression. That might be giving him too much credit. I don't know. And maybe it's insights he had without even knowing he had them. But without being able to sit down, chat with him, and actually detail it out, and just going by what we have, that would be the better guess of why we see such contradicting things coming from him. What's my greatest fear? I'll be honest with you. Losing my wife, hands down. I don't think anything else really bothers me. I know that sounds corny and cheesy, but that's actually something that I was talking with somebody today about. So, yeah, if you noticed, I seemed a little bit somber when I first logged on here. That was kind of still fresh in my brain. So, yeah. Hey, Cloud Gazing, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. It's pretty reliable. The trick is interpretation of the Akashic records. It's not always written in plain English. Sometimes it's very riddled. So interpretation has to be taken into account. So it's one of those things where it's accurate, but if you misinterpret it, that's on your fault. And that's why I hesitate to tell people to rely on it. Appreciate it, Cast Iron. I'll definitely approve that. Use a communication. No. If you ever met my wife, you'd understand why I don't do that. Even her superiors apologize to her. I love her to death. I'm the one person who can get away with things with her. I love her to death. And I value free will way too much to pull some stunt like that. Jacob, very well said. Very well said, man. Very well. The fastest way to get in trance. Eek. That's different for different people. Everybody's minds are wired differently. For me, the quickest way is to sit down, do a good deep breathing, and just drop it's just, I put my mind to it and I just drop down. On days when my brain is scattered, some form of music really helps me. So there's so many things that are individualized. But that said, let's say we go on a broad spectrum and play the numbers. If you play the numbers, the best way most people get into trance quickly is with a repetitive beat or tone that plays. So this is why drumming is so popular. And those who took several of my classes, there's a drumming video you can use, which is a tone that I've had stuck in my head for years. It's that little. If you could hear that. And I've actually considered putting that up for use so you all can use it on the YouTube channel, just a track of the drumming. So if that's something you all be interested in, let me know. A lot of people I know actually use what do they call them? The metronomes that just do that little tick, tick, to those can be used too. You just need that nice rhythmic consistency. For some reason, that really helps most people drop into a trance fast. Again, that's if you're playing the odds. But it really helps to know you and knows what relaxes you and what helps essentially give enough background information without distracting you. Well, that makes sense, Jacob. I mean, you're trying to reach out and contact Freya during a thunderstorm. So that does make sense. Yeah, chanting can really help. That's why a lot of people use incantations and stuff. Just like the Draconis Balashulux Tenebris that we use for some of the rituals in the dragon class and some of the other rituals. Or even just repeating an entity's name. Those are all great things that can really help you. Yeah, it's in that's right. The track is in the Arcane Senses class too. So if you've signed up for it, it's in there. And I don't know what it is about that beat. It just came to me one time in meditation and it got stuck in my brain like a splinter. But that seems to work so well for meditation and trance. The Dragons claim they didn't give it to me, so I don't know where I got it, but it works. So, yeah. And it's such an easy little tone. I think my mom even said that I was tapping that when I was younger, so I don't have any memory of it. But apparently, it's just always been something I've tapped out. Which is funny because I have no rhythm. That's like the only thing I can tap out in rhythm. So definitely great questions here tonight. And I did talk to the Linda. She's been trying to stream some over on Twitch for what she can. Her laptop's not being the most friendly with her. And we are still currently trying to figure out our issue. Her laptop appears to be dead for the issues of dual streaming. So that means I've got to figure out something over here. So unfortunately, that means we have no ETA. But we are still working to get the original setup of Magickal Coffee Hour back up and running for you all. In the meantime, if you do want to, pop over to Twitch and support her there. And tell her I sent you and make fun of her when she hurts that horse if she's playing that game. You know, Bernaldus, that's actually very possible considering he has a very shamanic style. It is very possible, and I don't think I've ever asked him about it. I may actually have to run that by him because he seems to have had an uncanny interest in me since day one. So I may run that by him. Your insights may prove useful there. I appreciate that, man. I have worked with Bilal quite a bit. Boone, I've only worked with a few times. As far as to pact with them, again, I don't recommend pacting with any entity unless you've worked with them through evocation for some time. Because pact work is not what most people think it is. It's essentially just a long-term business contract of some kind that lasts for a few months to a year. And I mean, you could make it go longer, but really your rewards kind of taper off. But anytime I've worked with Belial, I've enjoyed working with him. He's a no-nonsense, kind of straightforward guy. And me and him, when it comes to don't tell us what to do, we kind of jive there, definitely. But I've enjoyed him. Boone, man, I can't remember much about him. Bun, or Boone, I always called him Boone. I don't know if I mispronounced. He never corrected me. But it's been so long, I hate to say it. He's not one of the entities that stood out in my brain that I've built a strong relationship with. Our relationship's good enough. If I need his help, he'll help me. But then again, the McDonald's lady down the street likes me too, but we don't talk until I need a cheeseburger. So it's just one of those business transaction kind of relationships between me and him. Belial, me and him hang out quite a bit, at least 3 or 4 times a year, it seems. Um, so yeah, I've enjoyed working with Belial. We'll get everything. We will find a way to get the magical coffee hour running. Trust me. I mean, honestly, there's probably a setting on this laptop right here that my dumb rear just ain't seeing. And luckily, my wife is better with computers. So once she's had a week or two home to relax, I'll ask her to take a look at it. I'm not going to have her get home and be like, "Hey, fix my computer." I'm not going to do that to her. But there's a fair chance that we can fix it on my computer. And I'm like, y'all know, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm a caveman in a digital world. So I've been trying to do what I can to figure it out. But, that's a monkey doing a math problem, really, let's be honest. So hopefully my wife will be like, well, here's your problem, dummy, and just flip the switch and everything rock and roll. Which it wouldn't be the first time that's happened. So. TC, Pencak's counting down method, man. I love that method. That's one of the first methods I was using back in the day. And oh man, you know what? I might have to do a video on that method and totally like give Pencak a shout out. There's a reason I recommend his books so heavily. He gives a broad breadth of information on different traditions and everything. So if you are interested in a tradition, it's a great place for info. But he gives solid, functional, solitary work information and that you can use, or information you can use just for like a magical practice like mine with no real religion in it. And he goes over everything so well. I really do recommend his first 4 books to all my students because it's just so much good info and exercises in them. And if you guys are interested, I always keep links to his books below the videos because I really do like his works that much. And definitely support an author like him. I mean, good works like that, we got to keep those coming. I worked with Marvis. I can't even remember why. But, well, I mean, 2 of the times we were just path working the Goetia to do some testing. But outside of that, um, again, he's one that just didn't jump out to me. So I can't remember why. But what I remember, at least with me, he seemed pleasant. There's a time or two he was a little grumpy. I felt like he needed a cup of coffee or something. I mean, he wasn't never got ugly with me or anything. Well, okay, and ugly, he was never abrasive toward me, anything like that. You Southerners know what I mean when I say ugly. So he never treated me poorly in any way. He just grumpy himself. Um, but that was only a time or two. So every time I've worked with him was pleasant enough. Let's see, Pimicus. Panic, that's the tricky part. And I'm going to get in trouble here. I know a lot of people out there who will charge you $25, $30, or sometimes more to be like, contact me, I'll do a reading to tell you what entities will work with you. Now, that's not to say they can't. I know people who can. The sad part is, in my experience, at least in the ones I've encountered, that's the best way I can fairly state it. 90% of the ones I encountered, they're literally just selling you fake numbers, if you know what I mean. So I don't usually recommend that because of I'm an old gambler, so I play the odds. So I can't recommend something where everyone I've encountered, like 80, 90% of them seem to be frauds. And that bothers me. I don't like snake oil as salesmen. That's the reason I put so much focus on results. That said, if your senses aren't well developed, try setting up an arcane sanctum. Go into your arcane sanctum and asking for a friendly entity that wishes to work with you, and ask it to appear in your sanctum. That is generally the easiest way until you develop your senses better. And it's a fairly reliable way that does not cost you money. And I do have a free video on the channel you can pop over, again, how to set up an arcane sanctum. There's also a video on training your arcane senses. That's on the channel, free of charge. All the exercises for all the different senses are in there. And there's even a free class over at the school for arcane sight to go more in depth. You'll notice a trend here. I'm trying to help people because I know money's tight. Don't nuke it, Drake. Oh, see, I'm regretting telling you that story already, man. Oh, crap. I told both of you. Cloud, currently we are in the state of Virginia. They ship us around quite a bit, but currently we're in the state of Virginia. But I've lived and been all through the South, and well, our last station was up in Washington State. So yeah. Technically, I've actually been to 48 states. Only got 2 more to get to complete the set. So I got to work on that. Those being Hawaii and Alaska. So Linda's got me on that. She went to Hawaii and I didn't get to go. So Linda's up there enjoying. Well, I think we all know she's not enjoying it, but she's in Hawaii. Maybe I'll take me a vacation to Hawaii in the next year or 2. I will say Virginia's kind of nice when you make mead. They got a lot of good honey up here. Yeah, Hellcat joint spells can get wonky because everybody's got to be on the same page, and it can get wonky. It's doable, even if you don't have a bond, but it can get wonky pretty quick, pretty easy, because different people, different approaches, different ideals, they can just crisscross and cause issues. Let me double check this name here. I don't think I have. Oh, yeah, I have. This is odd. Okay. I have, Because yeah, I've worked with all 72, but I am seriously having like no memories of this one. Usually I can recall my encounters with them. That is odd. I may have to pop in and actually talk to this Adamicia again because my mind's rusted shut on that one, man. I apologize. I wish I could share more, but it's just rusted shut on that. Maybe I finished the work and got hit in the head. I don't know. But it's been a while since I've worked with most of the Goetia. I won't lie. Um, so yeah, there's been a lot of stupid events involved between that. But it just bothers me. I'm usually good on recalling people. So that's a personal annoyance for me when I can't recall somebody. Well, the tighter the bond, the energy just seems to vibrate consistently between the two or the group. Whereas if you don't, one bad seed in the bunch could cause a vibration that can almost counter out the rest of the spell work. That's the main issue you run into with group work. And that's actually the reason I try to avoid group work. So if you're doing group work as opposed to a group doing a single spell, I generally recommend everyone in the group do their own individual spells targeting the same goal. That way you've got multiple things targeting it, but they're all working individually. That's generally how I recommend it. Yeah, that's a lot of entities to work with, and I wish I could say I have a close relationship with every entity I've worked with, but I don't. I don't have that much time in my life. I wish I did because so many of these entities have so much to teach. Enochian magic is a system of magic that primarily focuses on angelic workings, and most people believe its origins were with Dr. John Dee and the sorcerer who helped him with his work. I can't remember the name right now. If anybody remembers the name, please shoot it in there because I cannot remember it. But it was a form of magic they channeled during their scrying. And Edward Kelly, thank you very much, Bernoldus. Edward Kelly. And you can find some books on it and the different tablets, the Enochian tablets. It is a fascinating system of magic, but it is also a complex system of magic. It's not one that I'm deeply in depth of knowledge of. I've tinkered with it from time to time, and I keep telling myself when I get free time I'm going to dive more into it. But honestly, there's so many other systems that just interest me more. I think I'll be retired before I dive too deep into the Nokian. There are a few good books out there that you can locate. Can't think of any titles. But yeah, I mean it's a good system of magic. I do know some magicians who that's their primary focus. So it is a real system of magic. I wish I could casually erase memories. Believe me, there's stuff I want to forget. Animal Man, dragons enjoy any type of gems. They really do. They just love shinies. You can give them pennies, they'll love them. My go-to tends to be crystal quartz if I give them, but I tend not to give the gem. I tend to charge it with energy and give that. That way the crystal's reusable. But they honestly like any type of gems. Dragons are not very picky creatures. It's one reason they're so easy and fun to work with. Like I said in the intro to Dragon Magic, the hard part's building the relationship. Once you got that, they're pretty laid back entities. The best way, in order, honestly, start learning evocation work. if you are dead set on making a pact with any entity, you need to learn evocation first. Because in order to make a pact, you need to be able to build a relationship with the entity, and then you need to be able to evoke it so you can have a live, real-time conversation with it, so you and the entity can work out the terms of the pact, agree upon it, and not only can you sign it, but you can see visibly through the evocation and the training of your senses that they also sign it. Making a pact is no easy thing. And that's the reason a lot of people don't bother with them, because honestly, you can really achieve most of it through evocation alone. So most people tend to meet all their goals learning evocation and getting the entities to help them out in evocation long before they get the skill to make the pact. But yeah, look into evocation. And if you check below my videos, there's a couple books down there on evocation. One of them's Demons of Magick, which includes all 72 demons of the Goetia. And it teaches 3 different levels of evocation in it. Really great book for beginners. And there's also one by Constanus, which it's the second recommended that I do, which is Working with Spirits, I think is the title of it. But they're both down there. And until I get my evocation course up, which I'm hoping for next year because I am swamped, that's about the best advice I can give you, because evocation is a lot to teach and a lot to unpack. You will need your arcane senses of hearing and sight at the very least trained up and very usable. If you have the name of your god form, the best way to learn more about it is to work with it and actually speak with it. That's really the best way to do it. To learn about its qualities and traits, because there's not one set guideline of any specific god form trait for person to person. They're as individual as we are. So you have to put in the time and the work to get to know them. Wow, really? 22 viewers? Wow, people, thank you. Holy cow, we are. Look at that crap. Everybody, I really appreciate your support. Y'all are great. You really are. There are people who will put the gem on the altar and they give them the whole gem, and then they will take it out and bury it. So it's essentially dedicated to the dragons. That's it, period. They don't use it for anything else. Or you can leave it on, if you actually have a dragon altar, which I don't do this, because most of you know I don't keep an altar of any kind. I just have a workspace. But if you do keep an altar, you could keep that on the altar at all times as well. But if you need to clear up space, you kind of go bury it and just put it back in nature, and it's theirs permanently. It's not an efficient method, but people do it. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm a cheapskate and I'm a bit of an efficiency person. So between the two, it ain't something I do. So also, people, do not forget the 5K by Samhain challenge. My wife has made it clear she's really looking forward to dressing me up, though she won't tell me what, which has me worried. I do know she has a very, very talented makeup artist, which again has me worried. But that does require you all to hit 5K subs on Samhain. And I even said I'd go 3 hours after Samhain because everybody knows YouTube has trouble updating. So to make sure YouTube didn't shorten, I'd go 3 hours after. But if you do that, my wife gets to pick the outfit, they do the makeup, and I got to do a live stream in that. The only rule for what she can pick is it has to be YouTube acceptable. That's it. So, and I know many of you are looking forward to that, but The amount of subs and views and support I've seen over the last week, it's amazing. I appreciate y'all, and I'm glad the channel is helping so many people. Okay, so great questions. Also, if you are interested, like in the coffee cups everybody sees me drinking from, you can find those at the merch store as well. Just go to workingdragonmystic.com. You'll find a link to the school as well as the merch store where we have magic circles that you can use for your work. We do have altar cloths, cups, canvases, all that wonderful stuff should you actually want them. You know, Cloud, I was noticing that. Somebody mentioned that to me, and I was like, mods, oh God, what am I going to do? Because it's just me. And as we all know, I'm a fool. And I really am worried. What am I going to do? Because this thing's growing bigger than I thought. I really didn't think this would work when I started the channel. You guys have been great. Absolutely great. And I am constantly trying to do as much as I can to keep up with it and give back. Some of you have already noticed my ability to respond to all comments has slowed down because it's just there's so many of them now. Same thing with emails. So you're right. I may actually have to try and find me some moderators to help with the chat and everything because yeah. I'm a caveman over here. Ugh. TC, thank you for joining us. You have a wonderful week. Join us Friday for that stream. Hopefully we'll have a nice little surprise for you. Yep. Pygmus, I would do the trance work and try to contact your god form that way to try and get some info. That would be the easiest way to get started with that. Cloud, I won't lie, man. I looked up. To this day, I kind of look in the mirror and I'm like, what does she see in you, boy? Because I really ain't figured it out. Maybe it's because I'm a good cook. I don't know. Maybe it's because I make her laugh. I don't know. But my God, she is so much smarter than me. She really is. I thank my lucky stars every day because, man, that little girl's my world. And I'd be in a world of hurt without her. I really would. This old caveman, I'm not sure I'd survive in the modern world without her. I really don't. I remember when my flip phone broke and they made me get a smartphone because that's all that was left. I could only use it to call out until she come home and she's like, here's how you use it. I'm like, all right, cool. And what, over 8 years later, I'm still learning how to use this thing? I have worked with Abaddon a few times, not as much as I'd like. So I've had good experiences with Abaddon. Confusing entity because sometimes Abaddon appears male, sometimes female to me, but always seems to talk in the male aspect. So that was a little confusing early on. But I am actually wanting to dive more into Abaddon. And I don't know why either. It's like I don't have a reason. It's just one of those times, an entity is like a splinter in your brain. And usually when that happens, there's a reason for it. Maybe the entity's calling to you or something. So I don't have a lot to share. There's probably a lot of better people to talk about Abaddon. But I am really looking forward to getting back to working with him. Yeah, there is a new surge, Thorn. Am I saying that? Yeah, Thorn, of people getting into Magick. In fact, one of the things that inspired me was I was teaching classes at a metaphysical shop for a while. And I had so many people complaining about dogma. They wanted to learn magic, but they couldn't get past, they just didn't want religion. Um, and everyone kept wanting me to write books, and books just are not my strong suit. And my wife actually is the one who pitched the idea of the YouTube channel to get on here and talk to you all and try and, help you all with your practice. And 'cause like I do more of a science of magic, so you can take what I teach, whether you want dogma free or you want to follow a tradition, you can take it and go the direction you want. Um, and she helped me get over my fear of cameras and just jump in and do it. So I'm glad she pushed me to do it. But there is definitely it seems to be a resurgence or a renaissance of it. And I think that's a good thing. I really do. I think we're looking at the next evolution of magic. It's come to where it was, and the old guard has really done a lot to bring it where it is. I know some people give the old guard shit because they call them too white and fluffy. But at the same time, they helped get us to where we are today, and we need to recognize that. But it is time for that evolutionary change. And I think we're starting to see it. I really do. Hey, never stop learning. Never be embarrassed for learning, Cloud. Never. Um, my wife actually didn't learn to drive for the longest time. I don't think it was quite 27 though, but she just never had to. So she didn't. But when she had to, she learned. I even taught her to drive stick shift. But never be ashamed to admit you're learning something, ever. If you're learning something, I don't care how trivial it may seem at your age, be proud that you're taking time to learn it and you're teaching yourself knowledge and a skill that can benefit you. Never be ashamed of learning anything for any reason. Always hold your head high when you're learning. Normir, does these working with these infernal energies destabilize you in any way? That's a really good question. Where I can honestly say, if infernal energies are not the evil, treacherous demons they're made out to be, destabilization, that can happen. But it's not just for no reason. See, part of what happens is when you're working with these infernal entities, they're going to try and get you to your goal as quick as possible. Now, the problem with that is we as humans, we lack our organization, we lack our order, we lack our safety blankets, our safety nets. We want this here, we know it's there. We want our chair, we know our chair is there. We want our radio where we know we can reach over and turn it on. We want our alarm clock so we don't have to look at it. We can just smack it when it tries to wake us up. So we fall into this process and this organization that we're not even aware of. And many a times these standards, this organization and this pattern actually is what's creating certain blockages in our life. And there you make a request of growth and change and to reach a new goal. So they come in, they see the blockage, and they don't ask you, they just tear the blockage out and get you moving. And because of that, it feels very destabilizing because you feel like you're losing control of what you knew, but they are technically doing what you asked them to do and help you. And this is very common to see in relationship issues and jobs. These are the two biggies. Because a lot of people, in order to get that financial independence, success, promotions, better career opportunities, one of the first things they do is lose their job. Because that job's a dead end. They can't get the goal they're wanting at that job. And that just feels, it's like a gut punch anytime that happens. I don't care who you are, how long you've been practicing magic. That's a gut punch. There's always going to be a bit of terror when something like that happens. But when you follow through and you continue to apply and you go looking and seeking, you're going to find that job, that opportunity that you was looking for, all because the entities pushed you out of that comfort zone. So yes, they can destabilize you in a way that is very, very uncomfortable. But again, they don't call it growing pains for nothing. Being uncomfortable, being pushed out of your comfort zone, that's how we grow. And it's just they do so in such a big way to get you to your goal so quick. It can be harsh, and some people can't really handle it because they panic and they even shut down the operations before the completion, which really leaves you worse off than you started, in my opinion. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said they can't destabilize you, because they really can. Um, Max, I can attempt it. Many of you know I'm not a big fan of recording rituals because it feels so weird. Um, Originally, I wasn't even sure if energy or anything would show up, but when I did the what was it, the contacting a deity ritual, where I think I contacted Freya during that ritual. I got a lot of feedback of everybody could sense her presence, the energy, and all that stuff. Um, but I will try and see if I can get one filmed, because for me, it's not. In order to make it worthwhile, I have to be able to make sure I can show you everything well enough, and the camera angles and everything with the limited space I have is really tricky to do that. But it is something I'm going to have to. It's a logistics problem I'm working on. That's one of the things we're working on for the evocation class. So I won't lie, I am wanting to do some evocation videos before the class. And a step by step of the process like that is something I'm wanting to do for a video if I can. But one video probably won't be enough to teach you evocation. Like I said, the 2 books that's linked below, pretty much every video I release every week, those are your best bet. And if I had to just choose one, I'd go with Demons and Magick. Hands down, one of the best books for the beginner seeking evocations that I've read. Not a lot of fluff. It's really, I mean, it's a thick book, and he really gets to the point of the matter. Well, somebody said they thought Boone was a music demon, but I don't know for sure. I know Paimon likes music and is pretty good at that. Um, let's see. Yeah, that's really people. If you ever hear me sing, I sound like a dying cat, and I can't play an instrument. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. So music is not something I've ever approached a deity or entity about. Now, creativity. Zephyr Seal would be a good one. The ruler of the air dragons is a great entity to approach for creativity. Productivity. I actually kind of like Ingus for productivity, as well as Thor. Thor's a real hard worker. He loves some productivity. And Odin's really great for creativity, even. Because he is that god of poetry. And actually, the Norse overlap poetry and music so much, you could really reach out to him for some music, too. Yeah. Honestly, Zephyr Seal's great for painting. The dude loves painting. Um, Let me think who else. I know this is a weird one, but for painting, I have found that Njord loves painting. Um, and I know it's just weird because it's not something people really associate with him being more of a god of the sea, but that dude loves to paint. It's like almost every time I go visit him in his personal hall, the dude's got a painting somewhere that he's working on. So I don't know why that is, So you might check him out because I know that like you will find that nowhere's in lore. So to this day, I can't figure out why that is, but he does seem to like it. But yeah, Zephyr Seal loves to paint. He loves creativity. He loves art. So that would definitely be a dragon to reach out to. If you're talking sculpting and stuff, Terrafana really loves sculpting. Hey, Mooncat, it's okay. No problem being late. Good to see you in here. Although, actually, it is about time to start wrapping up. So if y'all do have any last minute questions, let me know. Let me see if I can double check what we got coming out this week. I know y'all tend to like a heads up on what's coming out the next week. So, oh, yes, this is a viewer request week. How to know if the Fae are near. That's actually the video this week, it looks like, unless somebody screwed up my calendar. So that's a viewer request video this week. And again, Patreon members, their requests go to the top of the list. And if you're interested in becoming a patron of the channel, there's always a link below the videos. And for all my Patreon supporters, I do thank you very much for all your support, as well as those of you who donate through Super Chat and or even if you're buying a coffee mug. I appreciate everyone's support. And that even goes for the likes and the comments, people. The likes and the comments help this channel so much. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. I appreciate everything y'all do to help support this channel and our mission of getting more information out to people who are seeking it. Oh, Apollo would be a good one for music. Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah, that's one thing. I'll admit when I don't know because I just don't. Music is not, I love music. I love listening to it, but I'm not a musician. Which is kind of sad. I think that kind of saddened my dad. My dad he loved it, but my brother got all the musical talent. Well, actually, the main reason, if you remove the religion cloud for fasting, is energy naturally just flows easier in and out of us. So it makes it just far easier to receive those positive sides, what people would call blessings, as well as for you to do your own magical work. And it actually increases your focus. So there's a lot of science that has gone into studies of the effects of fasting. And it's really fascinating to look at. So there is actually reasons for that. It's not really the pure or negative religion stuff. I mean, it does help purify the body, which helps heal it, definitely. But yeah, it's largely due to how easy it is for energy to transport at those times during that point. And it's fascinating to see the research coming out that actually correlates with what magicians they've known. They've just not been able to, explain why it's working specifically. So for me personally, I find that a fascinating area of research to actually see how they're lining up so well. Thanks, John. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And, you can always catch the replays or join us on, next Friday or Sunday. Normally, the Magical Coffee Hour, I have a co-host. She's a little chaotic ball of energy, but we're having some computer issues. Hopefully, we'll get those corrected soon. Till then, I plan to still pop in for y'all. We're not going to cut y'all short at all. Elizabeth Silver. Yes, I will be doing an individual video on all the 9 rulers. I'm going in order. So I think, let's see, did Ingus go out recently? So that means the next one should be Coralegra. Then you'll have the ruler of darkness, the ruler of light, and then the ruler of spirit. But yes, I am doing one for each of the rulers. So yes, that is one that we have. Actually, I don't know if I showed. I think I did, but it's here on the floor. The canvas artwork for the spirit rulers actually already been done, which is freaking gorgeous. Look at those colors. Is that not awesome? I fell in love with this one. I ran out of room on my wall over here though, so I got to rearrange everything. But yeah, I will be definitely getting that up. Cora should be kicking off. Oh, I don't got my calendar in front, so please don't quote me, but I'm wanting to say the first week of August we should see Cora Legra's video. So, because I'm trying to weave in, I got people wanting more videos on Fae, some Norse videos, the dragon videos, and so I'm trying to weave them in. So, yeah, you will be seeing Primordia very shortly as soon as I can get to her. And she is a fascinating dragon to work with and absolutely gorgeous too. Cora is a doll. I have to admit, I love Cora Legra myself. I really do. I think actually in the last one I recorded, I was talking about how much I love the ruler, and I said it's one of my favorites. And I think I realized it's like every video, I'm like, this is one of my favorites. And it's just like, I've worked with these 9 rulers so long. They really are some of my favorite entities to work with. But at the same time, when you're recording videos, it's like, you're just like, I keep saying this about all 9 of them. What the heck? You start sounding stupid to yourself. But it's also the best way I know how to describe it. So if you watch the videos and if my memory's serving me right and that is something that's happening, just laugh with me on it because I can't articulate better how much I adore these entities. Uh, Thorn, yeah, I actually have. Odin, definitely a trickster, and Loki. Loki is an entity I do work with. In fact, my wife, that's her primary entity. And in recording a video about Loki recently, I was talking with him, and he actually wants to do a full 30-day focused path working with me. And since I can't start my Cliffothic working, because I talked with Lilith and Samiel about when to restart it, and they want me to finish the Dragon Magic 102 course first, so I'm not distracted and I can focus on that particular Cliffothic path working. I'm thinking about working Loki's path working in before that. And so I might actually start that as soon as August or September if I can. But yeah, Loki is definitely the biggest trickster deity or entity I've worked with. Though any of you who's worked with Ingus Salor, you know that dude loves his pranks. So he definitely has a trickster side. And he is a handful. Dude is a big, well, I mean, he's a huge freaking dragon. So yeah, he's a big handful. But he could fall into that trickster category too. But I still have to give the reward to Loki. I think he's going to win out for trickster entity for me. Ingus Salor is INGUS space SA space LORE. If you need to, his artwork is already up on the merch shop, so you can go to workingdragonmystic.com, click on the merch, and just go to the canvases. His name will be spelled out right there, easy peasy. X Boonwell, there's a video on the channel for him that has the spelling correct, and it's actually X apostrophe BOON apostrophe WEL, or is it two L's? I can't remember. But your best bet is to pop over and just look that up, because these dudes spell this crap weird, people. I can't remember it. Oh, so I mean, I do my best. And when I'm writing up the like type ups or something, I'm checking my own grimoire to make sure I'm spelling this stuff right. Yeah, I can't remember the spelling of all these. I wish I could. I wish I was that smart. But as we said earlier, I'm not the smart one. My wife is. I can remember a lot of lore and stuff and facts, but when it comes down to details like spelling, that's where I get foggy. All right, everyone, this has been a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me. And, well, picking me up. Like I said, I was in a bit of a down mood when we logged on here. You guys definitely gave me a nice little pickup and perk. Great questions tonight. Absolutely great questions. Loved them. And it's always great to get on here and chat with you all. And I do appreciate your support for the channel. And all the great comments that I've been getting on the videos and everything, the questions, loving those as well. By all means, keep those coming. That's definitely what makes doing this channel worth it. It is a lot of work, so it's good to know that it is getting out there and helping people. In my experience, Cloud, dried herbs do not lose their energy when you dry them. Max, yeah, you can send me a copy of the sigil. You can even join us in Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the About section, as well as it's usually below the videos here. And you can always DM me on Discord as well privately. Discord's one of the best ways to get in touch with me. I'm usually, even when I'm working on research notes and stuff, I'm usually lurking in Discord somewhere. So Discord's a great way to get in touch with me. Other than that, everyone, you have a wonderful night. I know Monday's getting ready to start the work week for most people. Try and have a wonderful work week. Stay safe out there, and I will see you all Friday and Tuesday. Definitely check out the new video when it drops. All right, everyone, you take it easy.